Welcome back to more Explorers of Darkness. Last time, we were just doing some random missions, but today, time to start the expedition. Excuse me, no. This has been a part of the game that I've been kind of, dreading doing the recording for in a weird way. Mostly just because this is a section of the game with, a lot of cutscenes, and not very much dungeon gameplay. And a lot of the dungeon gameplay that there is, I feel like is not particularly noteworthy, so I feel like it's gonna be really hard to have, good commentary for this, but, well, we're just gonna have to figure it out as we go along. I know this playthrough is not having much of, a story focus, it's more of a gameplay focus, but I still don't want to skip all the cutscenes anyway, you know, I could just, skip right ahead to when we're in the dungeon, but I really don't want to do that. Bidoof bros, holy fark. I know they give Bidoof some more characterization and explores the sky with the special episode and everything, but, you know, it would have been nice if all the other guild members got much, the expedition is where most of the guild members get pretty much their only characterization for pretty much the entirety of Time in Darkness, and outside of, you know, special episodes, it's basically the same as in Sky. Or, you know, fuck, I don't know what I'm saying. But my point still stands. Now that I think about it, it makes sense that Wigglytuff's handwriting would be so shit considering he doesn't have fingers, so pretty much just has to use his nubs and, you know, hold a pencil or whatever other... Well, no, I suppose, now that I think about it, I'm not sure what sort of writing utensils they might have in this kind of universe. I mean, they have the whole footprint language, yeah, but do they use their footprints like fucking stamps or so? I don't know. I don't think the logistics of a footprint-based language is very concrete. I'm not sure how something like that would even work, considering the fucking 400 plus different species of Pokemon that exist in the world. I don't get it. Honestly based in Wigglytuff, though. Also, I'm gonna be completely real, I completely forgot Skuntank even had that little, shocked expression in this scene. I'm gonna be real, I didn't think he had any expressions other than the neutral portrait. I completely forgot about that, the fuck? Oh, what the hell? How does he speak with parentheses in his dialogue? There's another line I forgot about. I don't know. Weird. Oh yeah, and here we go. Yup, you may not bring down guild members of your teams. Which, this is the first segment of the story where we are forced to leave our extra party members behind and just use the player and partner, so... Rip Polybone and Grimo, they're gonna have to sit on the bench for a while. Second of all, the phrasing he used there, of everybody must leave their non-guild members behind. I guess that, you know, I guess that implies that the other members of the guild actually have their own team members, but that's, I don't know, that's clearly something that is written in the dialogue as an indication for the player that you're not allowed to... teammates, right? I highly doubt they thought about it that much in terms of a story perspective. Is very much just like a game mechanic that they kind of have to what's the word I'm thinking of? It's a gameplay mechanic they have to, you know, put into the dialogue somehow. Something I always find interesting about games is when they have to have a way to, justify explaining mechanics in dialogue in a way that makes sense. You could do the easy route and just, you know, have the dialogue state directly to you. It just feels like a button glyph showing what the controls are or something, but... I don't know, there are more interesting ways to convey mechanics and stuff to the player, I feel like. Or, NPC dialogue. Anyway, though, we have increased inventory space now, that's good. 4 bag slots. That's what we're gonna have for most of the game, if I remember correctly, but that's definitely good. I find it funny that we're still allowed to take some missions here. Quickly take a look at what any of them are, see if any of them have good rewards or anything. Oh, not really. It's why we are here. Just quickly put these guys on the bench. I assume this is one of those parts of the game where you're, you don't have to progress the story and you actually are allowed to continue grinding missions if you want, which brings into, I mean, that's something that doesn't make sense in the story at all, because, you see, actually... Oh, okay, you're actually not allowed to do any missions at this point. Okay, I was gonna say, because that would not make any sense considering, you know, today's the expedition day. But they would have to suddenly, like, postpone it because of you and your partner. That would be awkward. We got a lot of money last time, well. Still no good link moves for Torchic. If we could get, like, Lyra or something, that'd be really nice. What are you people doing over here? The fucker. It would definitely be nice if Team Skull was, like, had more instances as, like, NPCs there. Right, where you're allowed to just, like, talk to them in a neutral context and they're still, like, being assholes too. That's definitely interesting, I feel like. Anyway, let's just quickly gear up. It doesn't matter really how much equipment we bring. We only have 2 party members, so we don't need to stock nearly as much stuff. I'll keep that, sure. We don't really need that, I don't think, though. There's also, like, several spots where you can access your storage while we're on the actual expedition anyway. How do I have this many big apples in storage and not a single normal apple? What the fuck? Oh, let's just quickly, go through and grab some stuff. I'll bring this way now. We're gonna have plenty of inventory space because we don't have that much stuff we actually need to bring. Oh yeah, I accidentally took out heal seeds and reviver seeds unnecessarily. Shit. Alright, now let's go get the expedition started. Actually, before we do that, let's take a look over here. I wonder if there's any if there are any NPCs. Hey, look, it's Dog Trio. Wait, I forgot this was like a running thing throughout the game of Dog Trio yelling at the sea. And I guess they must have been really proud of that in Rescue Team, because they did it in that game, and then they did it again here. I'm not sure. Maybe some kind of like weird reference that doesn't translate well, or something I don't get. Why Dog Trio is always portrayed as yelling at the sea with Diglett. I don't know. Wait, let's get on with the expedition now. Alright, time for the big class field trip. Holy shit. We're only like 4 hours into the game and it's time for our first actual treasure hunt of the adventure. Wow, holy shit, we're true explorers now. We already were since, you know, Waterfall Cave, but also we have to actually find shit first. Flora, Loudred, Diglett, and Croak. That's a fucking nightmare blunt rotation right there. Fucking owned. I wouldn't want to go with Chatot either, fucking loser. Save my adventure. God damn it. I just did off camera, but I guess I might as well again because, well, for no reason really. I don't even know why I did that, but okay, anyway, next dungeon, Craggy Coast. Probably not gonna be that hard. Well, I don't know. There's gonna be a lot of water types, of course, which will kind of suck because I'm Torchic, but shouldn't be that big of a deal. Oh yeah, and I guess Bidoof is with us as an AI partner, although, to be totally honest, his inclusion will be, like, pretty inconsequential. I don't know. Bidoof, as your ally here, he's only around for, like, 1 or 2 dungeons, and he doesn't really do much. Also, yup, Kangaskhan Rocks are back from Rescue Team, which basically lets you just save and, you know, store items. Which we already just did. We saved twice and already set up the inventory, so there's no real reason to interact with that. I'm gonna be real, I'm not quite sure why we chose the sea route to get over there. I guess because of the pass through the mountains, although it's not something that really reflects on the map, I don't think. The mountain range is kind of just totally solid with no gaps. But for gameplay purposes, I guess we're going here because Well, I don't know, we already had a water-themed dungeon, Waterfall Cave. It was only 2 dungeons ago, but now we're going straight to Craggy Coast. I guess if you were playing as a grass type, you're eating pretty good here, because you just get another pretty easy dungeon to deal with. Oh shit, Craggy Coast or Side Path? Well, we're just gonna go to Side Path. If you've played any mystery dungeon before, mostly, you know, Rescue Team of Explorers, if you've played before, you know the deal. You go through the side path, you just be able to grind, or you can take the main path to, actually progress the story. But just for the sake of seeing everything, we might as well go take the side path. I like to do this every time I play the game, again, just for the sake of seeing everything, really, and just to get a handful of extra items. And as you can see, we're already dealing with Gastrodon, although at this point in the game, Gastrodon's not really a big problem. And kind of sucks because we're a fire type, so if you get hit with water moves, that could definitely suck, but we're probably okay. Also, of course, we just got a level up that's definitely nice. I guess the point of the side path here is mostly just to get more items and EXP if you get stuck at this point in the game, which is like, you know, obviously, yeah. Although I see pretty much all the enemies that spawn in the side path are just shit that's going to be in Craggy Coast anyway. So, there's nothing really, like, special or noteworthy here. Unsurprisingly. And the dungeon's also only, like, 4 or, like, 5 floors, I think. Jesus. Bidoof won't do encores. I've never seen that, like, fail message before for encore, I don't think. That's a really funny way of phrasing it. Bidoof won't do encores. I don't know why that humored me. Gotta kill those fucking Wingles. I'm not gonna bother exploring out the floors very thoroughly. The mostly noteworthy thing about these side path dungeons is the fact that these are some of the only dungeons in the game that you're never allowed to return to at all. I'm not even sure if you can get rescued here. I will have to check after I'm finished recording, but, like, in the dungeons that take place in the future, you actually can return to them because you're allowed to get rescued if you die there. Because, you know, otherwise you would probably just get completely stuck if you... Like, if there's a dungeon in the future and you just kept dying there over and over, you'd pretty much just be fucked, you know? So you can return to the future dungeons by doing rescue missions there, but there's not much, like... I don't know. It's just an interesting novelty. I have no idea if the side path areas are the same, but we will find out. Well, not in this playthrough, we won't find out. I'm probably not going to be messing with any friend rescues, because, not to call it too soon, but I do not even, like, remotely expect to, like... I don't expect to be dying at all in this playthrough. I know what I'm doing. I'll probably be okay. Anyway, found a box, though. Which I was mentioning before. Yeah, exclusive items. You have to get boxes to find them. We can actually get boxes to spawn now, although... That's probably what most of our inventory is going to be filled up with for a while now, is just boxes, because we're not going to be able to open them until we go back to town. Let's think of how many dungeons we have to deal with. So there's Craggy Coast, Mount Horn, and Foggy Forest, and I believe all 3 of them have their own, like, side path variant. As you can see, yeah, we just could loop back around. But, so there's those 3 dungeons, and their side path variant, so I guess that's 6. And then there's Steam Cave, so if anything, it's closer to, like, 4 dungeons for the expedition, which is honestly really not that long. But, in terms of, like, with all the extra cutscenes we're going to be dealing with, because they're, like, this is the first super cutscene-heavy section of the game, other than, like, the beginning, I would say. So, it'll be quite a while before we are able to go back and actually open up all these boxes. Also, funny thing I found in a previous episode while looking up stuff related to, like, the version-exclusive gummy shit going on, I was looking it up on Bulbapedia. I believe blue gummies are exclusive to Explorers of Time, and if you've played this game, you'll know in the post-game there is a moment where you're required to find, I believe, 2 blue gummies to actually progress the story. And so you may be wondering, well, if they're not in this version of the game, what the fuck are you supposed to do? Well, I believe Craggy Coast and I think Brine Cave are the only 2 dungeons in Darkness where blue gummies will actually, like, spawn. But they don't appear in other dungeons, I don't believe, and it's because they literally have to, for story purposes, which kind of makes me confused as to why they even bothered making the story like that in the first place. Like, they made the version-exclusive items, and then in the story there's a moment where you have to get one of those items to even progress it. Like, I'm kind of confused as to what exactly they were really thinking. It's like, fuck, you know? I don't know, there's some strange decisions made in this game. Another Luminous Orb. I don't know if that's an exclusive to Darkness item or not. I feel like it's not, but we've been getting a lot of those. That's like the 3rd or 4th one we found. Jesus. Anyway, no, I'm not going to be spending much time in this dungeon. We're just going to head on through, because our levels are looking pretty decent at this point, and there's not really anything else noteworthy in these dungeons. I mean, I suppose if we find gummies, that'll be nice. Speaking of gummies, Got to give this grass gummy to Chico here. Status checker, finally, there we go. Might as well turn on poison powder for her, if she can actually use it now. Yeah, what status checker does, you probably already know, is it makes it so if the AI member has a status move, they will not be able to use their status move in a situation where it wouldn't do anything. So, like, if the target already has a status... I actually did not mean to do that, shit. If the target already has a status, then they will not be able to use a move that inflicts that same status again, because it would obviously do nothing. Or, like, they will not be able to use healing moves if they do not need healing, because their health is... I believe, status checker will check if a, Pokemon is above 50%. Like, if they're below 50% HP, then they will become a valid target for healing. Otherwise, they will not be considered for it. There's a few other circumstances. I learned in... Ooh. 2 gummies. Wow, nice. I'll actually save those. I'll save the blue gummy, because I already just said we are going to need it later. Way later down the line, but we will need it. What was I saying? I learned that, What was I saying? I'm sorry, I got distracted. My god. Yeah, no, I don't remember shit. Well, just have to move on then. So many blast seeds, man. They give you so many of these. Another gummy, nice. Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say now. Jesus Christ. I learned something from one of those, like, how the AI in Mystery Dungeon works. Apparently there's a weird glitch with Status Checker in Explorers involving, I believe it involved the move... Not Healing Wish, I think Lunar Dance is like the Cresselia variant of it. One of those 2 moves, I don't remember which one, has like a weird glitch where Status Checker won't work on that move normally unless the target that it's checking with Status Checker has Gastro Acid status applied. And it was something weird that had to do with, like, because of, like, a weird way stuff got lined up in the code, it makes this mistake. I don't remember exactly, but it was very interesting. Not something you're realistically, like, ever going to see in normal gameplay, to be honest, but it's something interesting regardless. Gotta say, these Gastrodons are pretty fucking annoying with Water Pulse to hit you with ranged moves and Mud Bomb to lower your accuracy. That definitely sucks. What the hell? Bidoof passes over items and can't even pick them up at all. That's annoying as fuck. Can't even speak English now, my god. We do not need these blast seeds. Let's get them out of here. I'm not gonna bother eating an apple in this dungeon if possible. Yeah, there we go. Craggy Kill's not a very long dungeon. It's kind of weird that Apple Woods is kind of long. There's like 12 or 13 floors, I think, and then you get several dungeons that are shorter than it afterwards, when you think they'd be getting longer. I guess just because you're doing a gauntlet of like several dungeons in a row during the expedition, they didn't want to make all of them too difficult. And I don't really know, to be totally honest. Also, I gotta say, this background here is, like, weirdly low res. It's kind of crunchy looking. I also find it funny that they say we can rest here tonight even though the sun is out. Well, I suppose we probably get up pretty early in the morning to do guild stuff, so we probably have been out exploring all day. Which is another thing about the game story that doesn't really make sense, the passage of time when exploring to different areas, because to get to Fogbound Lake here, this is apparently a multi-day trip that requires, like, a huge amount of planning. And yet later in the game when you return, you're able to just, you know, do all of it in a single day. I don't know, again, definitely not something the devs really thought too hard about, because it's just a gameplay aspect and, you know, divorced from the story. We definitely do not need this route orb. Our inventory is going to end up getting very clogged up with boxes very fast, so... you know, just put those away for now, we don't need them. There's no way to store money, though, which kind of sucks, because you lose all your money if you die, but, again, we are godlike gamers, we don't need to worry about that. Anyway, move on. Let's just do another side path. I believe it's, yeah, Rock Path. Again, probably just going to be the same thing as the upcoming Mount Horn, which is, in my opinion, maybe one of the most unnoteworthy dungeons in the game. I'm gonna be real, though, this, I don't remember ever seeing this tile set before. I don't know where else this gets used. Interesting. Yeah, Mount Horn, I feel like, is not particularly noteworthy at all. I guess the Aerodactyl enemies that show up are annoying because they're kind of strong and they have pressure. And I want to say there might be an enemy who appears in Mount Horn who has Silver Wind, which is one of the most broken and scary moves in the entire game. So it's kind of insane that they give that to something so early. I don't remember exactly. There are definitely dungeons later on with Silver Wind Pokemon, and it's just a fucking nightmare. Speaking of nightmares, Jesus Christ, yeah, why is Stone Spore and, like, Poison Powder and Sleep Powder? They're, like, AoEs in this game, that's insane. And you get, like, disabled from being able to attack, and you get slowed, like, oh, it sucks. At least you're still allowed to use items. Although, in case you didn't notice, we only have 24 rocks, and they're hard to come by at this point, so I am being conservative with them. So, eventually we will have a pretty much endless stockpile of rocks, and we won't have to worry about it. Shit, I did not mean to run straight past him, oops. At least it missed Chico. Yeah, fuck him up, girl. I got owned. Heck, no, I'd rather use Peck than Growl, to be totally real. I mean, as a coverage option, I guess it's kind of nice, maybe. Mostly just because now we have extra PP to attack with. That's mostly why I care about getting another move like that. But look, we can test it right now. Great. Except it doesn't really matter for Grass types because we already have Ember. Yeah, Mount Horn. Still probably not very noteworthy, I don't think. Well, we're just gonna have to find out after we head up the stairs here and actually go there. I don't believe there's any interesting items in any of the side paths, by the way, other than just, not really anything interesting there, other than just, like, apples, basic seeds, orange berries, pretty much just basic supplies that you need to, you know, live. Quickly throw a bunch of crap back in storage. We do not need full fear. We don't really even need full seal either, to be honest. Oh, we're getting... Oh, shit, I did not mean to do that. We're getting plenty of apples, which is good. Obviously, always nice to have a shitload of apples. There's no point in even saying that. What does Bidoof have to say? Well, thanks, Bidoof. Let's do it, indeed. Oh, Mount Horn time. I wish on this little exterior background, I wish the sky was a different color when you got here. Like, I wish it was later in the day when you got here, and then it was brighter to indicate the passage of time, because otherwise, like, you know, they're like, alright, let's rest for the rest of the day and go to bed, and then, you know, you fade into the next scene, and you're the exact same area with the exact same color sky, and it's kind of disorienting, I feel like. I don't know, maybe I'm just a schizophrenic. Oh, who really cares? Oh, what an enemy lineup this is, holy shit. I don't believe the Ariados here are very threatening. The Cascoon, obviously, is not. Wow, look at that. Bidoof has PP skills. He has, like, IQ skills, and we don't. He has PP Saver, which means we're getting fucking mogged by Bidoof right now. We gotta catch up, Jesus Christ. The Parasect. The only noteworthy thing about Parasect, really, is that it gets Spore, which, if you've never seen it in PMD, it's like a room-wide sleep-inducing move, which is obviously insane, but I don't believe Parasect ever actually appears, like, I don't know if there's any dungeons where enemies who know Spore appear. Because at this point, I still believe it's only Parasect and, like, Breloom who get Spore, and it's at really high levels. Oh, this is Gen 4, which means, well, I mean, not even just Gen 4, but basically Breloom doesn't even learn Spore. It would have to be Shroomish, and I don't believe it spawns in any high-level dungeons. Ah, yeah, Beautifly. I believe it's either Beautifly or Venomoth, or both in this dungeon who can learn Silver Wind, and we really, really do not want to see that by, you know, any means necessary, because it would fucking kill us, to be honest. Silver Wind, scary. At least it's not Ominous Wind, which is arguably a little better. I think Ominous Wind has better accuracy, which makes it better, although you don't see Ominous Wind until extremely late in the game. I'm talking like Spatial Rift, so one of the final post-story dungeons. Or, yeah, it is Spatial Rift, I believe. You find like Xatu spamming Ominous Wind, but again, that's not for a really long time. So let's focus on what's happening right now, and right now we're getting skill seeds and gummies. Nice. Just eat these, to be honest. I want more skills. It's so... The gains you get from gummies are so small. I think the best way to get IQ is probably to just get nectars, which is an item I feel like a lot of people might not even be aware like that it exists. I definitely didn't know nectar existed for quite a long time. And to get a nectar, you have to have Combi, because Combi has Honey Gather. And if you've played Gen 4 Pokemon, obviously what it does is it's like Pickup, where after a battle you have a chance to be holding an item, except it can only ever be, like, Honey that Combi will be holding. In this game, it works like pickup, where you enter a new floor and get an item, except the item will be nectar. And what nectar does is it just gives you a direct boost to your IQ without giving any stats, like how gummies can give stats. Thank God it didn't try to silver wind. I still don't know if it even has it or not. But yeah, basically you could get several Combi and just run through a dungeon while making sure they keep picking up as many nectars as possible, so you can just chug them all down a Pokemon's throat and try to get IQ on it. But, newsflash, you know, in case you're not aware, we're playing Explorers of Darkness, and Combi is exclusive to time, which is really not that big of a deal, because for the version exclusive Pokemon, the few there are, if you do a mission that involves one of the version exclusives as a client or like a character in the mission, then it basically unlocks that Pokemon for your version and it will just start spawning naturally. Which means we do not actually have to really worry about that. Eventually we'll get the version exclusive mons at some point, whenever I feel like it, really. It's not a huge concern. God, these focus energy boosted attacks are just insane, man, my god. What else is insane is not this Keck shop. Not even gonna bother buying the apples, I don't need them. Do we have anything to sell, though? No, not really. Let's see how much this all hit goes for, actually, because this is an orb I'll pretty much never use. I did not want to pick up that drought orb, put that back. Here, 30. Yeah, it's not fucking worth it at all. I'm sure all hit orb is kind of good, but I don't know. There's a few orbs that have effects that seem good, but I've never... Oh my god, Ice Fang. What the fuck? I do not remember the Aerodactyls having Ice Fang. That's crazy. Jesus. Anyway, what was I saying? There's orbs like all Mach and like all hit and like two-edged sword, I think it's called. Two-edged orb. I don't think those orbs are really like good. Yeah, that visual effect that Aerodactyl is giving whenever we attack it is very annoying because that's pressure activating and making us lose extra PP, and it fucking sucks. Because having a lot of PP is really good in this game, and losing it constantly is the opposite of good. It fucking sucks. Not that big a deal, though. This dungeon's not that long. It's only like 12 floors, if I remember correctly. Anyway, we also got a TM for Brian, which... I mean, I guess if you have a water starter... Oh shit, you gotta get away from him, Chico. Please don't do it. Ah, that's bad. Yeah, Pineco is an annoying fucker, because if I remember correctly at this level, it has Protect, which is obviously annoying, but it also has Bug Bite, which eats items from your inventory, which includes Reviver Seeds, and that is obviously very, very bad. Here, what we're gonna do, we're gonna say get away from here for Chico, so it should start running away. Okay, well, it just self-destructed. This is not much better. If I throw a rock at it, is it still immune? Okay, well, I guess rocks hit through Protect. I'm not sure how I didn't know that. This is probably the worst thing in this dungeon, is potentially getting hit by Bug Bite from Pineco and losing it. Like, if you lose a Reviver Seed off of that, then, like, that's fucking awful. Like, that's really, really bad, obviously. Royal Gummy. I believe this is the one for dragons, but I'm just gonna eat it for... Okay, well, that was meant to go to me, but I accidentally let Chico have it. So, yep, here comes Venomoth. I don't know if he has Silver Wind at this level, and I don't really want to find out. Even that confusion hit kind of hard, Jesus. I guess next time we get to a rock, I'll have to switch out the, might have to switch out the rocks just for standard pebbles, just because I have so many of them. I don't want to run out of rocks. More boxes. I hope we get a lot of boxes as well. Although mass opening boxes is pretty annoying because you have to do it individually for every box. So you have to sit through the dumb box opening animation a whole bunch of times and it sucks. That did way less damage than I expected it to, and I'm not complaining. More level ups, wow. He has so many level ups during this portion of the game, it's great. Are we almost done with this dungeon? Oh wow, this place is longer than I remembered. We gotta fuck him up. Do. Okay, or just defense curl for no reason. Yeah, second defense curl. Gotta get them gains, I understand. The gains even, not the games, fucking hell. There we go. I find it kind of funny, you exit the dungeon and you immediately just get the chapter screen, that's kind of amusing. We made it to base camp, wow. And this egocentric fuck Wigglytuff, it wasn't enough that the entire guild building was modeled after him, he needed tents of his own face too. We're all late. Maybe if we took a more direct route through the mountains, we would have been less late. I don't fucking know. Well, that's the last time Bidoof has any relevance in this story, now that he's not on our team anymore. I don't believe he's on the team for the upcoming dungeons. Oh shit, it's time for Corefish's only relevance in the entire story. Well, I guess we're not there yet. There's another instance of a Pokemon having a portrait in their dialogue that I completely forgot about. That's weird. I feel like a lot of the side NPC characters didn't bother giving them different, like, emoting portraits. They just have this neutral one, like Chimeko was showing, which I guess makes sense. Why bother making a whole sheet of extra, like, emotion portraits for characters who are never going to use them because they barely have any dialogue? Also, oh shit, we're only like 6 or 7 dungeons into the game and legendaries are already becoming relevant. Holy fuck, every PMD fanfic writer's creaming their pants. Still better than Super. Nah, I don't really care that much about the inclusion of legendary Pokemon in a story like this, I don't think. Especially since, you know, Yuxi is kind of a minor one that's not really relevant. It's a little relevant in the grand scheme of things, in like the story of Diamond Pro Platinum, but I don't really care about that. That's some real shit, Wigglytuff. I find it funny he says if we find out how to lift the fog, we have to run back to base camp and let him know, as if, you know, he wouldn't immediately notice. Whatever, it's not a big deal. This is Diglett and Dogtrail's excuse to just go take a nap somewhere instead of actually work, by the way. Lazy fucking bastards. Alright. Finally time for the next dungeon. That was a pretty long cutscene. So, quickly sort out our inventory here. Getting a lot of really good items at this point, like, Roll Call and Luminous Orb, pretty valuable. Toddler Orb, really good. Full Fear. We don't really need that right now. And yeah, let's put the rocks away and replace them with some pebbles. Thought I had more pebbles. I kind of expected I'd have a full stack at this point, but it's not a big deal. Anyway, next time on Explorers of Darkness, we will try to figure out how to lift the fog. So, see you next time.